Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, beautiful individual. Today, I would like to speak about embracing and immersing and, well, come in contact and be connected to your inner heart sun. For warmth is not only you can sense outwards with your skin and your nerves and so on. It is also an inner spiritual warmth. It comes from inclusiveness, from empathy, from understanding and a willingness to bring about the best in people and see the best in people, but also be aware that we are human beings still. So it is a perfect balance and also keeping oneself to at least go inwards and hold to the warmth as best as possible. Of course, if it is not possible, one does not need to be in that spot, in that area, with those people, and so on. One does not need to entertain such things. It is all about what is our values and what do we entertain. Because certain conflicts and turmoils and chaos is just not necessary to entertain. It brings about inner, disturbances. It brings about insecurities and unsureties that can be avoided by having a different disposition about oneself. And through the heart sun, the warmth, the radiating of love from your own inner being is truly what brings warmth. A warmth that is of a spiritual divine kind. A warmth that only we human beings can truly generate consciously when we have and when we are developing our own sense of self and the sense and also the perceptional skills, the organs for spiritual perception. It needs to be cultivated. We do have the seed forms for them, as I have mentioned, but it requires us to dedicate ourselves to use time and effort to grow these inner faculties. Observation, listening, using our inner being consciously and actively in freedom, not allowing oneself to be dragged hither, thither, everywhere, and become chained to every event that occurs, and become wholly and fully dragged and into it then, but observing in a more free and awake and conscious way. It is about being here. Whatever happens, you are within your being, within your body. You do not become in your inner being, you do not get grabbed onto and then an emotion comes flying out willy-nilly when you practice spiritual and esoteric practices, because you bring about the harmony that comes through meditation and inner, dedication to mastery. For when you have your own inner being in, at least in a certain control, it is much easier to maneuver in the world, and you can bring about an atmosphere, an aura from your own inner being that is inclusive and understanding. But it has to be sustained consciously, like an aura. For in your aura, constant occurrences happen based on if we are conscious or unconscious on what comes and goes and flows within our own inner being. And what is the standard passive mechanical repetitions of our own inner being? More often than not, it is complaints. It is only seeing the ugly and the negative. But on the other hand, when you have had enough of that, you go the opposite direction, where you only see the good and you ignore the ugly. You see that there is a balance there, right in the middle. But where we should be most concerned is the beautiful and the ugly within ourselves. For when we can, well, bring about beauty and warmth to the world, you can be an example and not participate in whatever everyone else is doing. We bring new impulses through inner mastery. And your heart sun is, well, a vital part of it. For love is the strongest force in the universe. God is love. God is both love, wisdom, and will. Love, intelligence, and will. And it is all about embracing, immersing oneself enough into esoteric studies and practices so we actually can get to understand what is playing within us. But what is playing within us is variable from person to person. It is, but at the same time, when you do study, even if it is variable, even if it is unique to every individual human beings, it is still objective in a sense, so you can still understand it. It is all about the willingness to go into that kind of understanding. But it also, well, requires of us to go fully into something, and it might be painful. And one just might get to understand a suffering person, a suffering human being. So it is all about having that and trying to do the best we can with what we have been given, polishing it, developing it, and bringing nourishment to it throughout our whole life, and not believing that once we're done educating, once we're done with this, we can stop thinking, we can stop being. That means you literally died before your time, in a sense. Your inner being has just settled. Don't do that. That is not how our inner being should work. Our inner being should be awake, flexible, malleable, shapeable, formable, like a soul spiritual being. Like watery, airy, fiery. And only our physical being here is mineral, earthy. That is what has congealed, condensed, coagulated down into this form. But our inner spiritual being that is eternal, that goes through life and death constantly, is something that is very much malleable and mutable, transformable. And that is what we are focusing on. For when you transform that in a live way, when you are alive, not after death, but alive, you change your body too, to that the body that holds your soul and spirit. And that is the beautiful part, because as I have mentioned, the body is the hardest one to transform and develop, because it is our oldest and most perfect member, but it is also overdeveloped, and we are overly focused on all the material. But once you get to know your thinking, feeling, and willing, your inner values and morals, how you operate from present moment to present moment, and how you listen to yourself and, well, handle your own presence, your own inner being. For if you cannot handle it, how can others handle it? How can you handle other in people's inner being? One can't. That is why we master our own self first. For if we have not mastered it and then criticize someone else for it, we are hypocrites. It is all about having that dedicated, consistent cause. And then you can, well, truly embrace that warmth. The warmth that comes with development. The warmth that comes with caring. With having a participation spiritually and soulfully in the world, but in a moderate, balanced, and an equilibrated way. I think that's the word, but in a balanced way. Right in the middle, in a conscious, steady, sturdy inner world. So when you meet another person, your inner world is sturdy and strong. So you can meet anyone with anything, in a sense. So it is all about that, as non-reactive as possible, but at the same time taking in what comes. It is about having that patient listening ability, in a sense. It is very, very useful in life, and especially when it comes to taking in memories, and never let anything past you, really, because we are kind of two beings in one. You have what you see here as me, as what I show you here, but you also have what is in the background, in a sense, my other self, my thinking self, my feeling self, which is not that apparent, but it is still apparent. It is all based on, let's say, for example, the topics I speak about, the interests I have, and what I wish you to hear. That is what I focus on. That is my intentions and inner being, and so on. But of course, let's say you have a friend, or an acquaintance, or family, and you say something to them, and they say yes to you or something, but inside them they think something completely different. That is what I mean. That's the two different beings. But it is about holding control and not letting oneself grab a thought that is degrading to another human being, and holding strong to one's own inner values. And I will leave you with this today. Thank you so much for listening to me, you beautiful, beautiful individual, human being, personality. May you be protected, guided, blessed, and loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, ancient masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation, the Godhead, Seraphim, Cherubim, thrones, Kyriadetes, Dynamis, Exousiae, Archai, archangels, and angels, and may you be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, and thrive, and be inspirational and creative, and an example to others, so others can also realize and awaken to their example, and we can bring about Philadelphia. Community of brotherly and sisterly love, a warm community, a community that is built on strong, sturdy foundations, and, well, has a certain surety, understanding, and compassion to it. It is about the heart sun, embracing that heart sun for the Christ, the cosmic Christ, merged with the earth. That means the sun forces merged with the earth, so the sun is on the earth in a sense. That is the sun heart. That is, I just use the word sun heart because it reflects very much the picture of what I wish to describe to you. So it is kind of like a shining ball of warmth here, but as I also said, it can flare up and be destructive too. It is all about holding that sun in a perfect, stable, loving balance. And it requires practice and dedication, meditation, breath work, and inner silence, so that you can become acquainted with your own inner being, whatever might come out there, for we need to deepen and deepen ourselves to meet the Christ. The Christ is deep within us. He is the deep human being. He is not expanded out in the cosmos anymore. He is deep in the human being. Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong in expanding our knowledge outwards. Not at all. But it is about deepening oneself too. There is kind of three dimensions to this. If we are only distracted about outer world expansion, we lose ourselves. We get crushed by the world around us. But if we do only deepen ourselves, you lose yourself away from the world. So it is about that balance between deepening and expansion. It's an in-breath, out-breath, really. And that is to keeping that in-breath, out-breath as healthy as possible. So, thank you, love you, and see you later. You beautiful. Thank you.